Okay, I'm gonna hit like 40 miles an hour on this section. And I am pushing this more than an owner probably would, because it's not my car. When it hit the market in 2021, Hyundai's Ioniq 5 was a breakthrough electric vehicle. Great range, fast charging, practical packaging, and hip-to-be-square design made it truly unique. But things move fast in the automotive world.
Thank you all for joining us for our refreshed Ioniq 5.
Yes, it's time for Ioniq 5's mid-cycle redo. Hyundai has brought me to the sun, rain, and snow, yes, snow of Palm Springs, California to show off the changes. I won't be assessing this alone. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Volk and
Volker
show. This is John Volker. He writes for Car and Driver, Green Car Reports, and anybody that will pay you.
That's right. Inside EVs, charged EVs, small community newspapers if they have cash.
Yeah. We're here to find out if the 2025 model was worth the wait and introduce you to the newest member of the family, the XRT, perfect for those with long, poorly maintained driveways. In this video, I'm going to focus more on the XRT, but when you stop and think about it, Ioniq 5 has become very well-rounded. There's the standard version, which is comfortable and very useful. You've got the high-performance 5N, which is wicked fun on a track, and then the XRT, which is oriented towards off-road. So Ioniq 5 has become very well-rounded. If we were all so talented. 2025 brings subtle yet meaningful changes. For starters, all but 5N are now assembled in the US of A at Hyundai's new Georgia Meta plant. And cars built there get this.
We are the first manufacturer other than Tesla to have a native NACS port. But we know CCS is still very important, and there's a lot of CCS chargers still out there. So Ioniq 5 buyers will get the adapters for the conversion from CCS to NACS.
The standard model gets styling tweaks, best described as mid-century modern from the future. Only car nerds will spot the differences right off the bat. The nose and rump are a smidge more conventional. The horizontal grooves are gone. Wear a lot of Gore-Tex? Well, then you'll appreciate that all 5s now get a rear wiper. There are restyled wheels, too. But the dart down the flanks and Minecraft vibe remain. The cabin will look mighty familiar to current owners, though physical controls have been added. A big win. XRT changes things up. Digital camo shifts its look depending on the light. These are functional. 18-inch wheels with a pixel design callback where all-terrain tires. Cladding runs high in places to protect the sheet metal, though unlike Subaru, Hyundai uses restraint. The molded-in badge can't get torn off.
Also, suspension has been raised about 23 millimeters. So we've got an additional inch of ground clearance going from 6 to 7 inches. And then doing so, obviously approach and departure angles are also increased as well with the higher ride height.
Hyundai claims the standard Ioniq underbody shielding is extremely tough and nothing extra is needed for XRT. Speaking of, the pack packs more punch.
Standard range battery is increased 5 kilowatt hours to a total of 63, and the long range battery goes up 6.6 kilowatt hours to an even 84. So all this translates into more range across the board, starting at the SE standard range, which goes from 220 to a very usable 245. And then our longest range configuration is all of our rear-wheel drive configurations, and those increase 15 miles from 303 to 318. With the purchase of a 25 model year Ioniq 5, you will either get a free ChargePoint home charger for installation at home, or you will get a $400 charging credit to be used at the ChargePoint through the ChargePoint mobile app.
Both cars John and I are driving are dual motor all-wheel drive, delivering 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque.
I think we really went all in with the launch of the Ioniq 5 with its 800-volt architecture, so that continues with the refresh, the NACS port that I mentioned before. But charging speed with the CCS adapter, the fastest possible way to charge is about 20 minutes to go from 10% to 80%. If you move over to the NACS charger for a supercharger, it's a little bit longer at about 30 minutes. That's due to the output of the V3. For brake regeneration, we've utilized the traditional paddle shifters. They will actually control the levels of regen, anywhere from 0, which is basically freewheeling. 1 is more of like a conventional ICE car, all the way to 4, which is iPedal for those drivers that prefer one-pedal driving. We also have a smart or an automatic regen mode. You just pull and hold the right paddle for a couple seconds. It'll go into smart mode, and it'll use the front radar sensor to determine distances to what's in front of you and adjust your regen levels accordingly automatically.
We start the day in the sun driving the Limited with an MSRP of $59,500, including shipping. Now, while this is built in the U.S., the 5 won't qualify for federal tax credits if buying until the battery assembly side of the Georgia factory ramps up in a few months. Stay tuned.
In the last half hour, we've had rain, snow, fog, and some amazing chances to photograph.
Yeah, and photography buffs, if there isn't continuity, well, it's not happening today because we've had 4 seasons, literally snow, in one day. Rated range in our all-wheel drive Limited tester is 269 miles. That's 20 less than SE and SEL models, if distance matters. I can only estimate that hard driving on hilly terrain in wildly varying temperatures would get us 250 miles down the road. John has already been behind the wheel. John, what do you think of the driving dynamics of this?
To be perfectly honest, the driving dynamics of this don't feel at all different from the driving dynamics of the first few model years, which is to say, like any electric car, it has its weight down low, so it holds the road fairly well. Hyundai clearly springs the car for comfort, so you don't get a BMW-like road-hugging monster, but it's by far, to me, the best balance for comfort, road holding, and generally using the car every day.
Yeah, if you want sporty, go with a 5N. We are both automotive writers. Automotive writers tend to write for other automotive writers, and we need speed and we need sharp cornering ability. But the reality is the average guy wants a nice, comfortable car. They don't want it to be sloppy. This is set for comfort, maybe a little soft for my taste. This is a very soothing car to drive.
I would agree with that, and there is this sport mode that makes it a little bit punchier. It doesn't change the suspension settings. I would be fine driving it in normal mode simply because with the weight distribution and the instant torque of an EV powertrain, you can perfectly happily hustle it through and yet retain that ride comfort, which, quite frankly, much of the rest of your family, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, your coworkers, whatever, are really going to prefer, as opposed to saying, oh, I like your new car, but it kind of rides rough.
There's plenty of power with 0 to 60 times happening in under 5 seconds easy. Both of us are firm believers that EVs can be better vehicles for many buyers. The one thing that's really great about electric cars is you and I are not shouting over the vehicle. This is a quiet vehicle. I'm doing about 65 miles an hour on this twisty road. There is no wind noise coming off the A-pillars.
0.
It's a very quiet car. It's really easy to talk to John, and Lord knows we like to talk. They're smoother, they're quieter. It's what you want from a luxury vehicle, and it's more calming. I mean, we have enough stress in our life to begin with. Why do you need more of it from your car? So I really do believe getting past all the misinformation out there, that for many people, these are actually better. Only if you can charge where you sleep.
Exactly.
Next up, the XRT. Slotting in between SEL and Limited, the retail price is just under 57 grand with destination. Hyundai doesn't really do option packages. Pick a trim level, then paint color, and that's pretty much it. XRT's rated range drops to 259 miles. Hey, all-terrain tires and an inch of lift is going to scrub off some efficiency. Only the 5N sucks down electrons faster. The Trackstar is rated at 221 miles. Some Ioniq 5 trims can be had with rear drive. XRT is strictly all-wheel drive, and there's no power boost over other dual-motor Ioniqs.
Okay, and I don't need to be in snow mode.
No, sand.
Sand. Let's do it.
Hyundai has set up a solid off-road course outside of Palm Springs.
It seems as though this is the kind of terrain that an owner would actually use this vehicle on.
Agreed.
It's a very rough Forest Service road type of vehicle.
This is the sandy equivalent of my driveway, although my driveway is not this long.
XRT is not intended for conquering severe terrain like the upcoming Jeep Recon is likely to tackle.
I think you'd really have to be pushing this to tell the difference between sand and normal mode.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can kick the tail out.
You hit the same rock I did.
Yep.
Yep.
It's pretty controllable.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the extra inch of ground clearance.
Yes.
Could a standard 5 do this course? Maybe, but a lot slower. In addition to the extra clearance, XRT has an advantage with better approach and departure angles.
Okay, I'm gonna hit like 40 miles an hour on this section. Again, Ioniq 5 suspension, set for comfort, works really well. And I am pushing this more than an owner probably would, because it's not my car. Competition for this, the only one that I can think of is Ford Mach-E Rally.
Yes, which I'm driving this week, and then Crosstrek, but
Not electric.
right. So yes, in the very, very small segment of off-roady-ish electrics.
Yeah, Rivian R3, once it gets here.
If Subaru got serious about EVs, it would have something like this. Solterra doesn't get the range or the charge speed that XRT has.
It's kind of hard to know what kind of a difference the tires are making in a situation like this. And whether or not it's the electronics. I mean, obviously the tires have to be doing something because tires are...
I think they're just beefier. That big hunk of granite. All right, this was it.
Yeah, I should probably slow down.
I can't remember if it was that one or the next one where I grounded it twice.
Okay.
If XRT proves popular, expect to see aftermarket protection plates.
They said, how many are going to be XRTs? 10?
10 to 15% they think, but they're not really sure.
Yeah.
XRT's unique terrain mode locks the dual motor all-wheel drive into a 50-50 setting and disables iPedal and Smart Regen.
That's another thing about EVs is they react much quicker than regular ICE vehicles, the hydraulics and all. Their all-wheel drive vehicles really seem to crank in really quickly.
Well, and that's one of the things that I was thinking about as I did my drive earlier, is that honestly, an EV is probably easier to drive on this kind of off-road course or tougher stuff because you don't have that lag in power. You don't have to make sure your engine's in the right torque band or shift down.
Yeah.
You always have instantly available torque.
Yeah. There really are advantages to EVs. It's not just save the planet stuff.
John and I only drove XRT some 15 miles total on this course. There's simply no way to test the claimed 259-mile range. If it approaches that, adventuring should be stress-free, fine for day trips into the mountains. Mach-E Rally is rated at 265 miles, so it's kind of a wash.
Ooh. It's off the trail.
I'm actually off the trail. And we're doing just fine. Coloring outside the lines, I think we call that, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
XRT's suspension is retuned. The little that we drove it on regular roads makes me feel it'll be fine for everyday driving. No penalty there.
You know, this is actually rougher than I thought.
Fun fact, XRT is 13 inches shorter than Hyundai's Palisade, with a wheelbase 4 inches longer than the 3-row. Good for ride quality, not ideal for the breakover angle. XRT's back seat remains the same as any Ioniq 5. It's very usable. 4 campers will be happy ones. 5 will be fine as long as the wilderness trek isn't long. If traveling light, cargo space can be traded for legroom. The floor is flat, so hiking boots have room to roam. All sorts of storage and power possibilities too. XRT can't be had with side shades or a sunroof, like Limited.
I'm at an event, so that means no Costco TP trunk test, but I have done it with Ioniq 5, and it easily takes on 7 packs of the 2-ply, so this is a very useful vehicle.
There's storage under the load floor to stash the charge cord and other small things. Notice that the panel stays open. There's a slot that keeps it in place. Off-roaders should have a spare tire. That's not happening here, which could be an issue out in the wilderness. Ask me how I know. The 5 has always been extremely practical. There are 26 cubic feet on a regular basis. A trip to the back doors is required to drop the seat backs for a max cargo space of 58 cubic feet and a fairly flat floor to make loading easy.
Front storage? Yes, it's not very big, but Hyundai does offer a free CCS to NACS adapter, and that would be a good place to store it. One advantage of a smaller frunk, by packaging the components up in the nose, it opens up this space, so it's easy to stash a backpack or purse.
Back at the hotel, there's much needed rain happening in Palm Springs. The XRT's cabin is not radically different from, say, the SEL trim other than some detailing. Heated seats are covered in hide from synthetic cows and get some branding. All 2025 models have some important livability improvements. Not that previous years were awful, just that details get some attention. This extremely usable console has new hard buttons for the rump roasters and heated wheel. No need to fuss with screen icons anymore. HVAC controls get a welcome upgrade as well. I do wish a sunroof could be had in XRT. The black cabin has a dark, inky quality in this kind of weather. At least there's plenty of storage. And the Bose system offers solid sound. The user interface is upgraded too. It's connected to the cloud and natural voice commands are a thing.
And this brings, faster CPU processing, greater GPS accuracy, also something as simple as wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It still retains the dual 12.3-inch screens we had in the pre-refresh model, but just integrates it with the new user interface. You'll see that the tiles or the widgets can be customized. You can press and hold, move them to wherever you want when you're swiping through the screen, so you can put it more towards the front or the back, depending on your usage. Basically, just giving you more options. Also includes over-the-air updates, not only for map data, but also for ECU data as well, or vehicle data. Also, our digital key 2 has been updated to premium spec, we call it. Prior to this, it was NFC, or near field communication, so you had to have the phone or watch physically close to the vehicle or the door handle. Now with Bluetooth Low Energy, you can keep the phone in your purse, in your pocket, whatever. As you approach the vehicle, it'll sense it. You don't have to remove it.
A reminder, the Blue Link data plan is free for the first owner for the life of the car. Ioniq 5 has always been a strong competitor with good range, fast charging, and excellent utility. The 2025 refresh polishes the package, and XRT broadens the appeal.
I like the new front and rear fascia. I like that there's an extra 15 miles of range or so. Plus, you still get that extremely fast charging speed. Like that it has the new NACS port. That is awesome. I'm a little surprised they didn't do more with the interior.
I will take the changes they did make to the interior. The hard buttons, making it a little bit more comprehensive on how to use basic controls.
Yep.
As my first one, definitely the added range, slightly more battery capacity. I give credits to Hyundai for doing a lot of consumer-friendly things. One of them is the free adapter. Another one is that you get free connectivity, the telematics stuff.
That's a big deal.
As long as the first owner owns the car.
In short, an excellent car gets even better. Electric vehicles aren't for everyone, but I'm convinced that if buyers would get past the misinformation being spread, EVs would be significantly more popular. Whether it's the mainstream version, XRT, or Go Fast N, the refreshed Ioniq 5 could be your number one. Special thanks to John Volker, always the smartest guy in the room. If you sense a lack of negative comments in this video about the Ioniq, believe me, John and I tried to find some. The fact is, this is a very well done vehicle. Any faults that shoppers might have with it are likely to be specific personal preferences. Hey, we all have those. Also, the already impressive ADAS features get an upgrade for 2025.
And some of the new ones for 25 is like forward attention warning, which is an infrared-based camera that's mounted inside the vehicle, actually on the steering column, kind of detects the driver's eye gaze to make sure while they're using some of the features that they're always maintaining their concentration and their focus on the road ahead. They'll get alerts. Also new, we've added additional parking sensors to the side, so now you've got front, rear, and side, so kind of a 360-degree coverage. Also, we've added haptic feedback to the steering wheel. So like for your blind spot detection, you just get a nice little nudge in the steering wheel accordingly. And then also the rear occupant alert to alert you if you left a loved one in the vehicle is now radar based, and it's actually hidden underneath the headliner. So it's out of sight, but definitely always operational.
True, Hyundai doesn't have Super Cruise or FSD kinds of semi-autonomous driving tech, but Highway Driving Assist 2 is excellent for short stretches. And Elon isn't exactly making Tesla ownership aspirational these days. Hope you got something out of my look at the refreshed 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the new XRT version. A reminder that Hyundai brought me to Palm Springs, put me up and fed me, but opinions remain my own. Accuracy is really important to me, okay? All right. Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to the channel, click notifications, follow me on social media, and if you have a question, leave it in the comments, okay? I'll try to get to you. That's Driven. I'm Tom Volk.